Just a heads up before you guys start this vehicle, it is a very difficult vehicle to remove the stereo in. It's about a 25-minute to an hour process, depending on how quick you are with this thing. So here we go. Start by removing these side panels. They're held in by clips. If you start from the bottom and kind of pull out one clip, then you can kind of get the rest to release real easily. So now just do the other side here. If you don't have one already, you should be having a non-marring plastic panel removal tool like this one from Snap-on, the PBN1. You can find something similar at Harbor Freight, but if you're doing this professionally or need to do a lot of cars, you want to get a really nice Snap-on version of that. So next, we're going to remove this trim piece around the center armrest. It's held in by 4 clips. Just pull up on it with your hands and it should pop right out. Remove this flap and then you'll see 4 bolts beneath it. I believe it's a 7mm. Use your extension on your ratchet to reach them easier. Or you can use a handgun, a little 12 volt, 18 volt gun with a adapter on it for a socket. It makes a lot faster work of it. And if you don't have one, a magnetic pickup tool to get the screws out easier, and a little tray organizer to help yourself with. So next, you're going to want to move the front seat up. This will help you get access to the back area where you need to pull a panel out. We're basically taking all the center console stuff out so we can push it back so we can remove the stereo. So that's why you're like, why am I back here doing this stuff right now? It's because you need to move the stereo, all the stuff back to get to the stereo. So just use your hands and you can pull that outwards and I'll pop right down. And next we'll work on these 2 bolts right next to the armrest. And it's all 7mm, the whole entire car basically. Now you should be able to pull up on this center piece right here and then just kind of push it a little back farther. That way you can next remove the cup holder and stuff here and pull it backwards also. So there's 2 small bolts right there, 7mm. Go ahead and remove those both. I'll leave a link in the description area about this magnetic tool you can buy on Amazon. It's really helpful if you do a lot of car stereo systems. All right, so the cup holder here, remove the little tray right here, and you'll see a 7mm bolt down there remove. I don't know why I didn't use the gun in this car. With the adapter for the socket, it would have been a lot faster, but either way. So this part's kind of tricky. This little shifter area, you have to separate the top piece from that bottom piece right there so you can access that bolt. And the way you do it is use your panel removal tool and kind of press in on these tabs and lift up. It's definitely like difficult to do. It took me about 8 minutes just to pull that panel top piece up from the bottom piece. And what that allows you to do is there's a hidden bolt down there that you can remove. So to remove the shifter piece. So here's a little closer look on the inside, just so you know what you're pulling up on. So once you remove this 7mm bolt, you'll be able to pull this whole thing back. So as you probably noticed, I have the car on still, like the battery's still connected because I usually test for a lot of wires when I actually get the stereo out. But it became apparent to me that later on that there's just too many things that you can accidentally press. Um, so about halfway through, I actually turned the car. I actually took the negative terminal off the battery. So here we are. Just pull it back slightly. Now I'm not sure how I did this. I forgot, but you need to be able to put the car in neutral and with the parking brake on, so you can move all this stuff backwards. Well, you want the engine off though. You want it running the whole time. Oh, and I didn't win on that scratcher. Um, this little piece right here was so difficult. It took me like 20 minutes. Like it just held in by 4 clips, but I had to hulk it. I had to just grab it and pull straight out with all my strength, and it finally came out. I was trying to press on the tabs on the side, as you can see, but I wasn't getting anywhere. I just had to eventually just say, you know what, if it breaks, it breaks. But luckily, it just came out without breaking. But on the top two were pretty easy, but the bottom two were like ridiculous. Anyways, so we have these two screws right here that are accessible now. Remove them, and then there's going to be a third screw underneath the console, which I'll show you in a second. But yeah, one on each side. Yeah, this next step, I guess apparently a lot of people have a problem with, but there's a bolt in the back there. Not sure if you can see it, but they always say, "Hey, I can't get to this bolt. It's really weird." But I just use this 6-inch socket extension, and I put it in the middle. I kind of crammed it in the middle of that plastic panel right there, and I was able to crank out the bolt pretty easily. So I don't know why people have such a hard time, but I kind of just pushed that extension into the middle of the plastic. I had to kind of force it, but with that, it was pretty simple. So now you want to pull this ashtray or whatever this thing is forward a little bit, and that's going to give you clearance to remove these side panel pieces. You might have to wiggle it like to the left to let the left panel go first, or to the right to let the right panel come off. So you can grab it right here at this little piece. It's pretty strong. Don't just grab it there though. Grab it there and another side of it for to even it out. So there you are. First panel on the left. You can basically just leave it hanging somewhere where it's not going to pull on the wires too much. Just before you do this, there is a little connector on the right hand side of this panel. Don't pull it and drop it. Make sure you put it somewhere that it can stand up like this. That way you don't pull on that connector. All right, so the air vents have a little trim piece around it. Super simple. It's 4 little clips, I think. Just pull straight out with your hands. Now, these things, these buttons, ridiculous. You basically have to get a small flat blade screwdriver and peel up on the sides right here. They're locked in from both sides, but the problem is on one of the sides, you can't really get to it. So I had to put the flat blade in there and kind of push in and then outwards to release the clips on one side, but the other side was just not coming out. So just take your time and be patient. It's very difficult to do because obviously you don't want to break these. They're not regular buttons, right? They're like hazard, or they're like basically push capacitive buttons, whatever they are. They're very difficult to get out. So just take your time. I kind of wanted to show this in real time a little bit to show you what I was dealing with. This first one, I was able to pop off the left sides of it and then go from underneath and pop it out. That did not work for me on the other side, though. As you can tell, I popped it outwards and it worked pretty good. But so here's me doing the other side. And I had a hard time with this side because I wasn't able to pop it from the bottom. I had to get in that little tight crevice and pull it outwards. So once you do so, just press this plug right here, this little tab, and pull the wires out, and you'll be able to unclip these little hazard buttons. So you have 6 bolts here, 7mm. Remove all 6 of them to access the stereo finally. I think all in all, this car took me like an hour to remove the stereo. With these clear instructions, you should have an easier time, but count on an hour and a half to 2 hours to remove the stereo. Before you take a stereo out, put down a really soft, fluffy towel or blanket underneath the stereo. You don't want to scratch anything underneath it. Plus, it gives you a good place to rest it on too if you kind of like pack the blanket together a little bit. So it has 3 connections on the back. This connection right here, don't try to remove this connection. Just follow it to this connector, and you can press the tab down and pull outwards. And the other 2 connectors work the same way. You just press the tab downwards and pull it outwards, and you'll be able to release the stereo. Thank you for watching, and make sure to like this video if it was helpful for you.